Hi, y'all, watching Today All Day. We're so glad you're with us on a Thursday.
You guys probably know this, but you're tuning into our digital show. It's called Today in 30, so it's a half hour of everything you need to catch up on our show from this morning.
Yes, in bite-sized pieces. And we're going to start with this high-stakes debate over COVID booster shots. There's a key hearing tomorrow. Health officials are at odds over if we all need them or not. We're going to have a full report.
And then after a groundbreaking and really breathtaking launch, we'll check in on the Inspiration 4, the first all-civilian crew in space.
Plus, Hoda, I got something crazy to tell you.
What?
Christmas is just 100 days
You know what?
away. Why did I say that?
I don't know.
Anyway, this holiday season might actually be different than past ones, and Vicki Wynn is already here to talk about shipping, shortages, and more. She's telling us this because she loves us, and we need to hear the truth.
It's like having the pumpkin spice latte in
August. June. Yeah, exactly.
Too early. Okay, so let's get started, SG. It's time for
Today in 30. And now we move to the high-stakes debate over those COVID booster shots. Ahead of a key meeting on their fate, we're getting a look at new data on that extra dose as the U.S. reaches another grim milestone. 1 in 500 residents has now died from COVID. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez joins us from Pfizer headquarters here in New York City. Gabe, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Tomorrow, Pfizer will break down its new booster shot data to a panel of outside advisors to the FDA. And then that panel is then expected to recommend whether more Americans should get the shots to help fight off COVID. This morning, the battle over boosters is intensifying after both Pfizer and Moderna released new research. In a 52-page report, Pfizer calling boosters an urgent public health issue. Citing data from Israel, Pfizer says people vaccinated this past January had a more than twofold increased risk for breakthrough infection compared to those vaccinated in April. Moderna's president telling NBC News its vaccine also shows waning protection over time and that he expects more severe breakthrough cases will start to crop up.
The question is not about how the vaccines are doing today or last month. It's really how are they going to do this winter?
So far, FDA staff have declined to take a stance on booster shots, saying U.S. regulators haven't verified all available data. CDC advisors are set to meet next week to discuss boosters, which some top healthcare experts believe are not necessary yet.
We ought to keep focusing on getting the first dose into people who haven't received vaccine yet.
Many people haven't been vaccinated in places like Tennessee, which has the most COVID cases per capita right now. In Tarrant County, Texas, health officials say almost every pediatric hospital bed is full. So are ICUs because of the latest surge of COVID patients. And doctors at Alaska's largest hospital say ER patients have had to wait in their vehicles for hours, and medical teams have been forced to ration care.
You will not get the care that you deserve. It is happening.
The Delta variant is also fueling heated debates as schools reopen.
I vote to vote him out today. You right there, you clown.
In Council Bluffs, Iowa, police were called to a school board meeting after parents erupted in protest over the district's decision to mandate masks.
Let them free! Let them free!
Meanwhile, here in New York, there is a fierce legal battle unfolding over vaccine mandates for healthcare workers. Savannah?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez at Pfizer headquarters, thank you.
Feels like we could use a Thursday boost.
Let's go, let's go. All right, love at first sight can happen anywhere, even at the veterinarian's office. So a dog named Luffy was waiting his turn when he glanced over and he saw a vision, a female dog on the next bench. Luffy,
Oh my gosh,
looked
Luffy
bashful,
smiled.
big smile. You saw the teeth. Look, let's go. Yeah. Some say he was blushing. It's hard to tell. Either way, Lucky, and he's got a bag. Luffy's got a bag.
He's in Luffy. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so
Nice,
cute.
nice.
Thank you.
Let's go back to outer space, shall we? The first ever all-civilian crew is orbiting the Earth in a SpaceX capsule.
Yeah, right now. It's a journey that kicked off with last night's successful and spectacular launch of the Inspiration 4. And in a moment, we're going to talk about their mission with a former NASA astronaut. But first, NBC's Carrie Sanders is at Kennedy Space Center for us this morning. Hi, Carrie. Good morning.
Well, good morning. You know, the amazing Inspiration 4 crew includes a billionaire businessman, a geoscientist, PhD, a millennial medical professional, and an aerospace engineer, ordinary Americans on an extraordinary journey. Right now, they're about 360 miles circling planet Earth at an astonishing 17,500 miles per hour. A breathtaking moment. The SpaceX Inspiration 4 mission lighting up the night sky when it blasted off Wednesday in a fiery launch from the Kennedy Space Center, taking off from the same launch pad as NASA's Apollo moon missions and the first and last space shuttle flights.
Officially, the Inspiration 4 crew are now on their way to space.
The first ever all-civilian crew now orbiting the Earth on board the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule. Commander Jared Isaacman, pilot Cyan Proctor, mission specialist Chris Simbrowski, and medical officer Haley Arsenault, soaring into space and soaking it all in. After a hero's welcome in Cape Canaveral and a whole lot of preparation before their liftoff.
So these are essentially the last steps that they will take on planet Earth for the next 3 days.
As is tradition, signing their names and also making a mark on the world.
Leo has you loud and clear. How me?
I have you loud and clear, Leo.
6 months of training.
Training for space has been a lot of studying, but also a lot of really fun adventures.
Coming down to this moment.
Right to the doorstep of an exciting and unexplored frontier. A few have come before and many are about to follow. The door's opening now, and it's pretty incredible.
The 4 private citizens will spend the next 3 days collecting scientific research and enjoying the unforgettable views from this observation dome, 363.5 miles away from planet Earth, higher than any other human has been since the end of NASA's Apollo program in 1972. The crew of space tourists sharing what they brought with them, including Haley, a childhood cancer survivor who is now the youngest American to go to space.
So when I'm in space, I'm going to pull this photo out.
A reminder of home to keep them grounded as they navigate among the stars, ushering in a new era of civilian space exploration. With the arrival of the Inspiration 4 civilian astronauts in space, yet another record. There are now more people in space at the same time than ever before. Astronauts from China, NASA, and now from the SpaceX Inspiration, bringing the total to 14. Hoda, space is infinite, but let's get a little crowd up there.
Gary, thank you so much. Well, with the Inspiration 4 now circling at this moment somewhere overhead, some 357 miles above Earth, we want to bring in former NASA astronaut Ron Garan. He's the author of the new book. It's called Floating in Darkness. Ron, you've been where they are at this moment. I was just thinking about them. It's their first moments up in space. Tell us what you believe they're experiencing since you have actually been at that vantage point before.
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting. What they're experiencing is awe and wonder. It is just indescribable to see our planet from that vantage point. And what I experience, I think, is a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to see the planet from that vantage point and for the planet that we've been given. And I think, you know, that view is more than just beauty. It shows our unity. It shows how interconnected and interdependent we all are. And I think it's transformative.
Absolutely. But I just was thinking about you. You spent 6 months, I believe, in space. Just practical stuff. Yeah. Like you wake up. First of all, do you sleep? Can you sleep? You wake up. You eat. I mean, what is it like to just really be there, floating high above the Earth?
Yeah, you know, I had a really hard time figuring out how to sleep in space. I think where my head naturally went in zero-G was uncomfortable, and it took me about a month to figure out how to sleep in space. And that was unfortunate because my first mission was only 2 weeks long, so I didn't get a lot of sleep on that first mission. But just simple things like going to the bathroom and drinking out of the little bags that we have, and all of those things are. There's a learning curve, and it's really steep, but you got to get on it.
It's really cool what these guys are doing up there, but there are also some practical things that are coming as a result. What do you think NASA will learn from having these 4 up in space?
I think there's a possibility that it could affect some of the training that NASA does. These guys, there's no passengers on Inspiration 4. They're all crewmates. They've all been trained extensively in the very brief time that they were training, which was about 6 months. And so I think it challenges some of the mindset that, you need years and years to train. Now, they're not doing spacewalks. They're not docking to the space station. They're not retrieving or deploying satellites. But just the basics of going to space, I think, especially when you're on an automated vehicle like Dragon is, I think it changes the paradigm a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's incredible. They also have apparently the largest continuous window in space.
Yeah.
Well, in the Dragon capsule, so they got a really good view. So I guess that perspective's even greater.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's almost like being out on a spacewalk, probably. You're in a dome, a glass dome, and so yeah, I would like to experience that myself. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Ron Garan, Ron, thank you. You're a lot of fun. We appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Ron he's such a great ambassador for space.
Yeah.
Welcome back. After 4 decades of documentaries covering some of history's most iconic figures and moments, acclaimed filmmaker Ken Burns is turning his attention to the greatest.
Muhammad Ali premieres Sunday on PBS. It is a 4-part series dedicated to an expansive look at the legendary athlete and activist who died 5 years ago.
Yeah, it aims a deeper understanding of a man whose journey that took him from growing up as Cassius Clay in Louisville, Kentucky, to making an impact in and out of the ring as Muhammad Ali.
Boxing was this much. His evolution into the person he is today is way bigger than him just boxing. And I think he knew that.
Whatever one's background is, Ali belongs to America, all of us. And I think that he belongs to all of us because he affected all of us. And I hope that that's part of the legacy that he will leave, that America won't forget Ali as this American Muslim.
Ken Burns is with us now, along with one of the champ's daughters, featured in the documentary, the beautiful Rashida Ali. Actually, is this the first time you two have met in person?
Yes.
Wait, what are you talking about?
So this is a film co-directed by Sarah Burns, my oldest daughter, and her husband, David McMahon. And Sarah did the interview with Rashida. But the second I saw her on film, I was just in love with her and felt this connection. She is the closest, I think, to having him still on this planet. He said, service to others is the rent you pay for your space in heaven. He's got the biggest suite I know, and she carries the thing. And so we met today in the green room, and it's like magic.
You're seeing him, yeah, you could tell.
Yeah, Ken checks in the mail.
Rashida, you said that boxing is just this much, a tiny part of your dad. And I think for a lot of people, they think of Muhammad Ali and they think, obviously, boxing. Just elaborate on that a little bit.
My dad so eloquently told all of us that I'm bigger than boxing. And we all know that my dad used boxing as his platform to be able to create change and make a difference for all of us to live a better life. And he sacrificed so much of his time and his livelihood to be able to make sure that we experienced freedoms. That, he grew up in the South, so it was the Jim Crow time, and he faced racism. So he did a lot for all of us to be able to experience a freer world.
Ken, I watched the first almost 2 hours of it, and even for Ken Burns, this is an amazing piece of work. And I've watched all of the Ali docs over the years, and even in the first 15 minutes, you learn things about Muhammad Ali that you didn't know, the relationship he had with his parents, how that shaped and molded him. For folks like myself and others who are watching who love Muhammad Ali, what do you hope that they learn and get out of this that perhaps they haven't gotten out of other works about him?
Well, there are lots of really good films about Muhammad Ali, and I don't want to take away from any of them. They focus on a particular fighter a couple of years. Sarah and Dave and I wanted to do a comprehensive look. So I think it's the deep dive that we're able to do. And you begin to realize he touches every single issue in the late half of the 20th century. And they're issues we're dealing with today: race, faith, religion, civil rights, the role of sports. And so it becomes a story, I think, about freedom. It's very difficult for a black person to escape the specific gravity of the injustices that are visited on black people in America. But it's also about courage in the ring, but also out of it, the kind of stances he took that jeopardized his career. He was out of service for 3.5 years at the height of that career. And most of all, it's about love. That's why Rashida says it's this much, because this guy dies the most beloved person on his planet. And that doesn't come from, we always say he was so divisive. He wasn't divisive. We were divisive.
That's interesting.
We treated his opposition to the war in Vietnam as a political middle finger to the U.S., and it wasn't. It was a faith-based decision. It didn't have anything to do with.
And that trajectory in and of itself, though, is fascinating, to go from someone who was, hated by some segments of popular society to the most beloved icon and legend, not just in sports, but in our culture. Rashida, though, he's your dad.
He's daddy.
And when you watched it, were there things that you learned or insights that you found? I know when you lose a father, it's to learn something new is so precious. It's like gold.
Yeah, it was. So first of all, watching it, it was like binge watching my favorite show because it was long. I was like, okay, this is 8 hours. I'm going to take a weekend. But it was like watching a movie where you're rooting for the main character to win. And, I told Ken afterwards, I texted him, I was like, I've experienced every single emotion like imaginable. I was crying, I was laughing, I was excited, I had anxiety because of, with the whole, against the Supreme Court, and memories started to come back. There was a lot of footage about my personal family footage I've never seen before.
Wow.
So the footage of, Daddy's talking to me.
Yeah.
And
He's holding her and saying.
He's holding me saying.
Your daddy, do you know your daddy is the baddest man?
So I was like, that's me. I was like, I've never seen that before.
Wow.
Ken, you're amazing. And, a lot of the dynamic between my grandparents, Mama Bird and Papa Cash, and my dad, I didn't know the details about that relationship because I just know them as Grandpa and Granddad, Papa Cash and Mama Bird. And so watching, their, relationship unfold on camera, that was very interesting to watch as well. And then, again, you can't dismiss the fact that my dad was so generous with his time and so loving and caring. And he really pretty much was very forgiving of all the people, those who didn't really have the best intentions.
Yep.
He forgave every single person, so he kind of reminded you of how kind-spirited he was.
We should point out, though, this is warts and all.
Yeah, no,
this
warts
is
and
not
all.
Just...
And the thing that's so great in his trajectory is that he was not faithful to his wives. He used the language of a white racist would use against his black opponents, particularly Joe Frazier. And he abandoned, as a very young man, his mentor and dear friend Malcolm X as he was kicked out of the Nation of Islam. And it was all things he not only regretted, but he worked in the last part of his life to repair. And I think one of the things that's different is that we don't shy away of opening up that last life when he's no longer talking, he no longer has the jokes, he no longer has the quips. He's still changing the world. Like when he calls a press conference in the 60s, as my son-in-law David McMahon said, the co-director, the sports world in America stopped. When he visited Pakistan or Indonesia or Saudi Arabia, the entire country stopped.
You know what? We need 8 hours for this segment because we could just talk about it with the documentary. It's worth your time, Ken. As always, thank you. Rashida, what a pleasure. What a delight to meet you. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And again, Muhammad Ali premieres Sunday night on PBS.
It is time now for Consumer Confidential, all about the holidays. Yes, those holidays. We've joked about it all morning. Christmas is 100 days away.
Ho, ho, holy cow.
Yeah, you did it.
And this year, you probably want to get an early start.
All right, so here with everything you need to know about shopping, shipping, and shortages, we have NBC News investigative and consumer correspondent Vicki Nguyen. Good morning to you.
All the shows.
All the shows. But you know what? This is the time to start thinking about it. Beat the rush so you don't have the stress this year. And this past year, you've talked about shortages when it it comes to toilet paper, ketchup, used cars. So now apparently there could be a shortage in toys?
Yes, toys and gifts in general, depending on what you're going to buy. But there are a lot of reasons behind it. We've talked about this too. So you know that for the past year and a half, a lot of companies have shut down. Well, they can't just turn on a switch and get back to it. Sometimes people have shifted their manufacturing, like the paper shortage that we're seeing right now. A lot of companies started making cardboard instead. So it takes a little while to get that back. Also, the labor market. People who were laid off went to other jobs. We saw that in the trucking industry. And let me give you an idea of what happens with shipping. China, for example, we would get all kinds of things, right? Toys, electronics, clothes. Typically, something that takes 30 days to get to the United States is now taking 60 to 70 days. Then add on top of that, us. We are roaring to get back into this economy. People have money to spend. And so when everybody wants the same thing at the same time, you get shortages.
Right. So what is the strategy? Should we be buying right now, or is that going to make things even worse come Christmas time?
Well, I think you're doing a great job taking a page out of Al Roker's book. 100 days, it really seems like a long time. But this year in particular, the mantra should really be, if you fail to prepare to fail. You want to plan ahead, especially with
Sounds like my fourth grade teacher.
Prepare to fail.
If you fail to prepare. So there is the silver lining. So talk about toys with your kids. This is the time to say, hey, you know what? Make that list for Santa and make it broad. In case Santa and his elves have a hard time finding something or making something, they'll be able to get to something else. Toy Insider also says budget more because they're looking at prices, expecting on average a 10% price bump for toys. There's a plastics shortage. So if you spot a sale on something that you want, grab it now.
By the way, if you make the list now, you can hold it over your child's head longer. Leading up to Christmas. You have 100 days for that.
Be nice, not naughty.
I feel like you do that all year long.
I do.
That kind of dad.
I am, proudly. What else can we do to prepare for the holiday season besides those things?
So really what I think is so important, and we talk about this all the time, is just make a list and be ruthless about editing it and be thoughtful. Do you really need more stuff and things? My favorite tip for gifting in general year-round is experiential gifts. This is like a twofer, right? Because if you're buying a meal out or you're buying tickets to the local museum or art show or theater, you're supporting your local business. And the research shows people prefer experiences to things that take up space in their homes.
Okay, and then last but not least, you always talk about saving money. Is there some cool site or something we can do, or is it just old-fashioned $2 a day will add up to whatever? I mean, what are your saving tips?
There's always the old-fashioned, but a lot of us are shopping online. We saw such a huge emergence in that last year, and we've gotten comfortable. So get used to browser extensions.
See, I knew you'd have some kind of apps or something.
For folks who aren't tech-savvy, explain what that is.
You don't have to be. So here are a few of our favorites that are on the screen, right? Rakuten, which gives you cash back. Honey, which tells you, when things go on sale. So you're going to want to search for, like, Slick Deals, Coupon Cabin. Experiment with these things. All it means is you install something on your computer, and before you go to your favorite online store, you go through one of these sites, and either you'll passively just earn money back, or you'll get extra coupons and deals. It's really easy to do.
And these are all legit, obviously.
They're all legit, yep, and they work. I've gotten a few $1,000s back over the years from just basically shopping, because it does add up. The other thing to think about is becoming a loyalty customer. So if there's stores that you always shop at, create a separate email account, sign up for those loyalty discounts. You get 15% off your first order or whatever, and that adds up too.
And real quick, you mentioned a worker shortage, but that also means companies are hiring. So what do we need to know about that?
Such good news here, Dylan. Look, this year Salesforce is saying that when we come into November and December, that seasonal hiring period, there's going to be a shortage of 350,000 retail jobs. So that's what's open for you. And they think the median salary is going to be $19, up from $13 last year.
Significant.
Walmart hiring 20,000 permanent employees. UPS hiring 100,000. Those are just a few examples. So if you're looking to earn extra cash to hopefully make up for the lack of sales and deals this year, this is the time to do it.
I remember talking with you maybe this year, last year, no, maybe even the year before.
They're all blending together.
When we were talking about seasonal workers and what you can do to impress them to be able to keep the job and full time. Now
you just show up.
Just
show up.
Do you know what I mean?
That's impressive enough.
My goodness.
You've got a pulse. You've got a job.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're going to want to stick around for tomorrow. We got another big morning.
It's going to be Friday, for one thing. Harry Smith is going to introduce us to the sport of speed golf. And we're going to meet the world record holder, too. It'll be a great way to close out your week. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Today.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.